You said you wanted more collection videos. Well, by golly, you're going to get some more collection videos today. We're going to go back to square one, the console we both started with. Today we're going to cover, saddle up, our entire NES collection. What are we drinking
today? We're drinking the Black Butte Raspberry Porter by Deschutes. This is a porter with raspberries.
Did you say Asbury?
I hope so.
All right, you know the drill. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell icon so you never miss one of our bi-weekly uploads. And sit back, relax, pour yourself a beer if you care to, and let's dive in to our entire NES collection.
J-Love81 and you're watching my boys gaming off the grid.
It is time for our entire NES collection. We did the Wii U collection first and was like, hey, do you guys want to see more of our collection?
And you guys said, we want more.
We do. Give us more. Give us more.
People were screaming.
We figured let's go back. We both started with the NES. I got my NES, I think, a little bit before I was 4 years old, but I don't remember much about that time frame, so it would have been right around 1989, 1990.
And my NES was my mom's, and I just remember finding it in the cupboard probably when I was 4, 5, 6, and that would have been, what, the year 2000?
Yeah.
But it was my first console I ever played, and the NES is a staple. I love it.
Yeah, and as we were going through this, it's like, holy shit, we've got a lot of NES games. So we're going to cover all the games that we have that are loose, which we've made custom cases for, which you guys probably have seen already before. Then we'll cover the very few games that we have complete in box, and then we'll talk about the NES consoles and console variants that we have.
Yes.
And we'll just go from there. So starting with the first game, A Boy and His Blob.
Which is a fantastic game. I think I've spent more time with the Wii version. The Wii version's really good, but the NES version's super sweet.
I would agree. I rented this game. It wasn't a game I grew up with, but I love the Wii version. I like the NES version as well, but I've spent way more hands-on time with that game.
And in case you guys are wondering how to make these cases, because I know someone in the comments like, oh, these cases are cool.
Yeah.
We did a whole video on it. It'll be right here or in the description below. So make sure you check that out. Moving on to one of my favorite superheroes of all time, and that's Batman. We have 2 Batman games on the NES. The regular version, and then Return of the Joker.
Yeah, Batman, the original on the NES, I think is one of the best NES games ever made.
Sunsoft at its finest.
There's something about the music in this game, and, it could be my nostalgia talking a little bit, because I rented the hell out of this game as a kid. I probably rented this game like 25 times. Return of the Joker is a pretty new addition to the collection. I found it on the cheap. I don't have as much time with it to be able to compare the two, but I think I can tell early on it's not as good, but I do like the art style, and I'm glad we have it in the collection.
Yeah, just the first Batman game is incredible. Now moving on to an icon in the NES library, and that's Battletoads. One of the hardest games I've ever played, and I'm still blown away that Mega Dan No Death. Still blown away.
It's a really hard game.
Oh my god! I fucking did it, dude!
I rented it a couple times as a kid because I was like, oh, it's the Turtles, and I was a little kid, right? And it wasn't the Turtles, but I've come to love the game, but it's definitely one I need to spend some more time into. Adventures of Bayou Billy. That's the next one.
That's a sweet game.
It is cool, and I like that it has the zapper component, which is kind of cheesy and tacked on. But when I was younger, I was like, oh shit, yeah, I'll plug my gun in. Let's go. But it's a serviceable game. I like it. I don't love it. But the next game I absolutely love.
Oh, yes.
Again, it's up there in that category of Batman for me, and that's Bionic Commando.
Dude, this game is so unique.
Yeah.
And they did remake it on the PS3. It's cool, but I feel like it could have been a lot better on the PS3.
Yeah,
it's missing some things, but
this game's absolute perfection.
So unique.
Yeah.
I love it.
Blades of Steel.
You guys know we love our hockey games. They get him really sharp on that ice. This first hockey game I ever played, dude.
Wow.
I remember thinking it was awesome then. I think it's awesome now. I don't know how you couldn't play with a buddy and have fun playing Blades of Steel.
It's so funny.
And it's a Konami game. What's not to love?
You can't beat that.
Blaster Master.
Oh, another very unique game. I get lost in this game.
I like the game, but I don't know if you feel this way, and this might be a hot take. I kind of feel like the game's a little bit overrated. Like, I think it makes a lot of people's, like, favorite NES games list. And although I think it's good...
It's a good game.
It wouldn't be sniffing my favorite or top 10 list or something like that.
There's so many other games I'd rather play. I mean, it's really cool, and it's a unique game, that plays pretty well.
Not crapping on it, but... It's not, I don't like it as much as I think some people do.
And speaking of games that would probably in our top 10 list, We got Castlevania 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I would skip 2, I guess, in my top 10.
Well, I just mean like Castlevania
in general, but 1 and 3 for sure. 2, just had to have it to complete the trilogy. 2, I think you guys probably know, it's one of those games that, like, back in the day, without some sort of having a friend or something to that effect to tell you like what to do, the translation and everything in the game's a little jacked up. It's not a horrible game, but it's not on the level of like 1 and 3 and then Super Castlevania.
And then it just
Castlevania 4, I guess, would be but we got the whole trilogy,
which is badass. I love the Castlevania series. Now moving on to Captain Skyhawk.
We got this as a gift, actually, from our buddy Zach. He came over to a LAN party and he's like, it's one of my favorite games as a kid. I want you to have it. We're like, holy cow, man, that's awesome. It's a game I only dabbled with as a kid. Playing it now, I'm kind of like, the perspective, the 3D stuff, I think is like pretty impressive for the time.
But going back, going back to it is.
But I need to put more time into it. It's one that I haven't played a ton. I didn't grow up with the game, but a game that I did grow up with, didn't own, but rented a lot, is Commando.
Oh yeah, that's a great game.
It's right in that Capcom wheelhouse, that top-down vertical run and gun type of stuff. If you're into that, you got to play Commando. Now, it is maybe of those type of games that are maybe on my more favorite list. I feel like Commando's a little more tired.
Yeah.
As far as it just, I would much rather play in that realm, your heavy barrels, your gun smokes, things like that.
But
those are later in the collection, so we'll talk
still
about
pretty good. And now moving on to some of our favorite co-op games. Contra. We got Contra and Super C, staples of the NES library. I love these games.
You know what's weird about these games? When I was growing up, I did not know anybody that had Contra or Super C. And I knew a lot of people with NESs until I met Ryan. But I didn't become friends with Ryan until I was like in 7th grade. So we're approaching the 2000s. Then I went over to his place, like, dude, this is my favorite Nintendo game ever.
And you were like, what is this?
He's like, you never played it? You love Nintendo? And I was like, yeah, I just never got around to it. Then we started playing it 2-player. The fire was lit.
Yeah, and then ever since then, you're like, I want to no death run this.
I want to see how many predators we can turn purple. Don't shoot him.
Oh, don't shoot him.
Okay, let him come.
You don't have lives to risk. You don't have lives to risk.
I turned purple. Don't get too close. Don't get too close. It'll kill you when he comes out of the grant.
Comes out of the grant? Oh my gosh.
Actually, is this a he or a she? Oh, see?
He did it on purpose.
I just wanted to show you what could have happened.
Shoot him!
Oh no, get away! Oh no! She's caught onto us! She's caught onto us! It's too late! It's too late!
I'm suspended.
Dude, you're in purgatory!
Dick Tracy.
Oh, what a great comic book character.
Yeah, it's my favorite comic book movie of all time. And I really like this game. It's a recent pickup. I think I've had it less than a year. Trying to remember where I got it. I think JCD and Hobby had that like 20% off
and
sale.
You got a stack full
of
these games.
It's 20% off. And I also think on like their games they had like, if you bought 5, you got 1, I think, something like that. So I really took it to them there. But I do like Dick Tracy a lot. I mean, the game's not a perfect game by any means, but there's something about those licensed games and the fact that I like the movie so much and that it's an okay game that makes it fun to play.
It makes it really fun.
Yeah.
Now moving on to Donkey Kong Classics, which is kind of cool because it's Donkey Kong and then Donkey Kong Jr., the arcade games.
I know we're going to get B-roll of all this stuff, but I've always loved the cover of this because
dude, that I love the color of the orange.
Yeah, and the drawing or picture, if you will, of Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. is art that they didn't really use up until kind of this point. I think I have the red T-shirt of this just because I love the art style so much. I wish they would have got like Donkey Kong Jr. Is it math?
Yeah,
here.
But do you really want that?
It's kind of a fun battle game, I feel
It is a fun battle game, but it probably didn't.
But just on cover art alone, we got the manual. I really like this game, and I'm glad it's in the collection.
It's a sweet game.
Yeah.
Now moving on to Double Dragon 1 through 3, which are really sweet games, but it's weird. The first one isn't co-op.
Double Dragon 2, I think, for like what we do, is kind of the
best
standout
one.
And then Double Dragon 3, which I don't hate it. A lot of people really like shit on the game. I don't hate the game. It could be better, but for sure. But I think it's maybe, for me, kind of the same way that some people feel about Contra Force. We know it ain't perfect, but it's still a Contra game. It's still kind of fun.
Yeah.
But you gotta have the trilogy of Double Dragon if you own the NES, right?
Those are another iconic games from the NES. Now moving on to one of my favorite NES games, Dr. Mario. I absolutely love this game.
I think I've told you a story before, but I remember when we'd go to the video rental store, my dad, he's not a patient person, so it's kind of like, going as a kid, you don't know. You're just like, this is before the internet, right? So you're just like looking at the covers and all this stuff. I'll never forget the time I rented Dr. Mario. I thought it was like going to be another Mario game, and I got home and I'm probably 5 or 6.
And you're like,
and I put it in,
what?
And I'm like, fuck my life.
You're like, this isn't platforming at all.
Like, this isn't Mario, dude. This is not Mario.
Mario's in the corner.
What did I do?
Pills?
I wasted my one rental. I could rent a game or a WWF tape.
And you chose Dr. Mario.
And I chose Dr. Mario, and I was like, could have had a WWF tape or a different game.
If I was you, I would have been like, I love this.
As I got older, I did love the game, but back then it was just too much for me to handle. Good elevator action.
Yes, which is a serviceable game.
It's better in the arcades.
Yeah.
But it does translate okay to the NES.
I'd rather play Elevator Action Returns, which isn't on the NES.
No, what's that? Sega Saturn?
Sega
right?
Saturn.
That game's badass.
That game's badass, and it's also on a PS2 Taito collection.
Yeah.
So it's a lot cheaper there.
Yeah.
But it's serviceable.
Yeah. You get your kind of elevator action.
Yeah, you're getting a little bit of action in there.
In elevator action. See?
Wow.
See how that goes? Excite Bike, one of the first games I ever owned as a kid. I think I had 5 or 6 games, and that was one of them. Friday the 13th.
Oh my god.
Who hasn't just ran circles forever and had the shit scared out of him by Jason? Now as we're older and we know the path, it's a lot more fun of a game to play.
I still remember the first time I tried to play it, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Oh my god! What the hell?
Anytime you see him, you gotta attack.
What the fuck?
I'm saying it's a badass game because I like Friday the 13th. It's very annoying when things are so broke that there's no way to figure out what you're doing.
Yeah.
Unless you just play it a bazillion hours. There's not many people that sit down their first, fistful of times and I know exactly what to do.
No, because you just wander around and you're like, am I supposed to light this fireplace?
So, that was annoying as a kid, but I do like the game. Gauntlet, better in the arcade?
Yes, but it's still cool that it's on the NES,
It's
but
okay-ish. On the NES, I like it. One of our favorite shooters of all time.
Yes, Gradius, or some people like to call it Gradius.
I've heard
and
that.
I'm like, shut up. You're wrong.
But you know what? I'm on the wrong side of that several times, probably with a lot of things I say, so I'm just like, okay. Tomato. Potato.
What a fantastic shooter. Started the whole Gradius series.
Yeah.
I love Gradius so much. That Gradius, Dr. Mario, they're in my top 5 for sure.
Yeah, I remember as a kid getting to the very close to the end, and you know how you got to zoom through the doors when they close,
and you were just like, how the?
Well, you got to get through it before they do, and there's no way around it. And it didn't happen, and that was the furthest I ever made it until I was in college. And
you,
I remember.
Did you know that was the end?
Well, I had a feeling it was, and I remember when that happened, I literally didn't play the game again for 6 months. I was fucking done.
You were you're about to snap.
Yeah, and I was probably 8 or 9, and I was feeling like I was the king of the world because I had just beat Mike Tyson. So I'm like, dude, I'm gonna take out all these hard NES games.
Well, that's one of those cheap things that those games used to do, where it's like if you don't know what's coming, you're screwed.
For sure. A couple of games coming up that we wouldn't have known about had it not been for Mega Man 29.
Yes.
Guerrilla War and Gunsmoke.
Ooh, dude. Okay, they're both really fun, but I think out of the two, I like Gunsmoke better.
Yeah.
Gunsmoke is so sweet.
Guerrilla War is a good co-op, though, running
Yes,
down. If you're
it
into,
is.
Jackal, it's more of a top-down type of version of, if you're a Heavy Barrel fan or Contra fan, you might enjoy Guerrilla War. I really like the game. It's an SNK game, I believe.
Yep.
Gunsmoke's badass.
Gunsmoke is amazing, and you're
It's a shmup.
and you're on a horse.
It's a shmup, and you're a cowboy.
Yeah, it's so freaking sweet, and the way it uses the controller, it's an amazing.
Yeah.
If you haven't played Gunsmoke, what are you doing? Go play
Badass. We love our shooters. Gyrus is the next one in our collection by Ultra.
Or Konami.
Yeah,
and this game is very
skies.
This game is very unique and sweet because it's a tube shooter.
Yeah.
And your ship moves like this.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's so much fun.
It is a great game. It's one that is still relatively cheap. You can pick this game up on the DL all day long. The game gets really tough towards the end of the game,
Yeah, it
but
does.
most good shooters do. So Gyrus, gotta love it.
The next game you've already mentioned like a handful of times, and that's
Heavy Barrel.
dude. This game is so sweet,
Yeah.
and I love like how throughout the game the meter fills up, and then you can get that really big gun,
Yeah, that's the heavy butthole.
the heavy butthole.
Yeah.
That's what Mega Man calls
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It's another game we found out because of Megadan, at least on the NES. So I had played this. There was a skate shop close to where I grew up that had Heavy Barrel, the arcade.
Oh wow.
This is one of those few games. I do like the game in the arcade, but I love the NES version.
It's great.
And it doesn't look as good as the arcade version, but there's something about the NES version that I just really love. This game's starting to climb a little bit in price, I feel like. It's probably like that $30-ish, $40-ish range, and I'm just going off of my memory. But I think it's well worth the spend, especially if you like some co-op top-down shooters.
Now moving on to kind of a funny game on the NES, but it's a light gun game technically.
Yeah.
Hogan's Alley.
I mean, it's probably the second best light gun game on the...
True.
You have Duck Hunt?
Back in the
There
day, it was a big deal, but now going back and play it, it's like, okay, I'll play it for a couple rounds and then move on.
Yeah, just to make sure the Zapper I got at the garage sale works.
And then I'm like, okay. I'm
Yeah,
done.
there you go. Holy Diver, which is a unique one because it wasn't released in the U.S.
And then IREM published
Yeah,
it.
like a collector's edition. And was it through Limited Run? I think it was.
I think Limited Run, which was really cool. So we have the collector's edition,
Yeah.
which is super sweet.
The game, though, is a pain in the dick.
Yeah.
I don't love the game.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about it that are frustrating. I could go on and on and on. I'm glad we got a physical. I like the music. In general, the game's fun to play. But the game is broken. And it's got some really annoying shit in it. So there's a lot of people that rave about it. And it kind of confuses me. Because it's like...
Have you really played it?
Like, yeah, how far have you gotten? And how do you think this game is fair? It's a rage-inducing game, is basically what I'm getting at. And I put a lot of fucking time into it. And it's kind of in that category for me that I don't think I'm ever going to play it again.
Because you're like,
Yeah, I mean,
don't
there-
want to get
yeah.
that frustration.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. That could be a whole other episode. So we'll just leave it right there. Ice hockey.
Ooh, okay.
This is a really good hockey game.
And I think, wasn't this a launch title for the NES?
I believe
It's
it was in that window.
Very
Yeah.
close to it, yeah.
I can't remember because I was just a little peep who had lost his sheep. But it is a good hockey game. I do like Blades of Steel better.
Yeah, Blades of Steel is.
But it's still fun. I just like hockey video games. And I don't even really like hockey that much. But
Hockey
video
hockey
games,
is fun.
I like
to
that
watch.
tons of hockey.
Oh wow, okay.
Hot chicks.
Speaking of hot chicks, Jackal.
Yeah.
One of our favorite NES games. It's a fantastic Jeep top-down shooter. We've talked about this game at nauseam on the channel.
Yeah.
You already know
We love
about
it.
Jackal. It's amazing.
Kind of a dog shit game in the collection. Jeopardy 25th anniversary. Okay, so we've got a long story behind this game. We tried filming an episode with our good buddy and like a professor who absolutely killed it in this game, but we messed up the audio and the recording.
Yeah, the last half of the audio, it quit recording.
This
so-
game's a pain in the dick because you have to type in your answers like letter
and it's
for letter.
and it's timed.
Yeah.
It's frustrating,
It's
and
horrible.
it's obviously the questions are dated.
Yeah.
But when we filmed that episode, dude, no joke, the professor guy that we filmed with got every single
It was
question
insane.
correct.
It was insane.
We were like, what?
Yeah. But anyway, Jeopardy 25th anniversary. I wouldn't go out and get that one. The next game is also a horrible
Oh, it's a garbage game.
piece of dog shit. But there's a good story behind this game. John Elway, quarterback. The story behind this is I hadn't really met Megadan 29 yet.
I think this was before Midwest Gaming Classic.
Yeah, and so it's kind of watching him, and we were driving home from a show from Waterloo, Iowa. It's like 3 a.m, and he's live. And he's getting ready to wrap up his stream, and he's like, oh, should we play,
John Elway.
John Elway football? I'm just going to grab the case here because it's so funny. And he grabs the case, and it says, line of scrimmage realism that puts you in the middle of the game. And he's talking about how much dog shit this is. He's like laughing, and he's like, did you really fucking say that, John? He's like, I swear I want to meet him and ask him, did you really fucking say that, dude? And we were dying laughing
Dude,
on the way
it's
home.
so funny.
And I was like, this is totally our type of guy. And I feel like I was like, dude, we got to become friends with this dude all over. And I didn't have the game, but after that, I was
You
like,
bought it because of that.
this is just an ode to Megadan 29.
Now moving on to Kirby's Adventure. Not a big fan of Kirby, but it's a pretty iconic game, I feel like.
Yeah, it is. It was a later release on the NES. I like it a lot. Kirby's not my boy, really.
Is he a boy?
I think he is. His name's Kirby. So
I graduated with a guy named Kirby.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you graduate with any girls named Kirby?
No.
All right, so that's why I think he's a guy. But it is a later release NES game. It's of my favorite Kirby games, which I'm not a huge fan of the Kirby franchise. So
whatever. That says a lot.
Another great shooter, and I believe it's co-op, is Legendary Wings. It's a Capcom game. Beautiful game.
Beautiful game.
New addition to the collection. I have nothing to offer on this one. Mad Max.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this one.
Somebody in the comment section was like, hey, you should pick this up. I literally got it in the mail like a month ago. Haven't had a chance.
And we haven't played it yet.
So I don't know anything about it, just being brutally honest. A game I do know a shit ton about, though, is the original Mario Brothers, the arcade element, which is also a mini game in Super Mario Brothers 3. This game's a lot of fun. It's limited, right? You know, I mean, it is what it is. It's just a battle
very
game.
simple. I remember, I don't know if it was a standalone game or if it was a pack-in, but on the Game Boy, I think Advanced, I played this and we did hookups.
Oh, okay.
So we were playing 2-player.
And battling.
Yeah, battling. It was sweet. I don't remember exactly what game it was, but I remember playing that on the bus growing up, and that was really cool.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. It's a perfect game for like a short ride to school.
It is, because
Just
it's
get
like
a couple matches
it's just
in
so simple.
Yeah, it's an awesome game. I love it. Mega Man 3. I wish we had more Mega Man games on the NES, but this is our lone wolf.
Yeah, he's just a standalone guy.
Yeah.
This is a really sweet Mega Man game.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. It's a Mega Man game.
Capcom. Love it. Favorite one in the series is Mega Man 11.
Oh, Mega Man 11.
Mega Man 3 is good.
Amazing.
Yeah. Metal Gear Snake's Revenge. You would think I would have the other Metal Gear game.
Yeah, this is the second one.
On the NES, I have Snake's Revenge.
Why do you have? Why
I'm
don't
not
you
a
have the first one?
They don't mean anything to me. This game is fun, and I like this game, but I'll eventually probably get the other NES one as well. But I started on the PS1 Metal Gear Solid, so that's like where my nostalgia starts.
Yeah, I didn't honestly know there was Metal Gear on the NES till I was like, what,
I think
2 years ago?
Well, I think anybody in your generation probably wouldn't, because PS1 is really where that game
shine.
Like took off. Up next is Metroid on the NES.
Cool.
It's a classic.
It's a staple, still really hard, and I'm still waiting for Metroid 4. Come on.
Yeah, and dude, our nice little story behind our copy. I don't know if you remember this, but we got this. We were at a con, and somebody was like giving away broken NES games. And we got this, and the board was nice, like really nice. So this is our redone Metroid game.
I do remember this, yeah.
With an original NES board, but we bought a new cartridge and a new label for it.
And it looks freaking
It looks pretty good. I mean, I would definitely be able to tell.
You can tell it's a fake.
But we saved a board from the landfill, and the board is mint. So.
Didn't we also do that with Battletoads?
Our Battletoads is that way.
I remember that exactly now.
Yep. Well, they were just going to be tossing them, and these games looked like people had hit them with a hammer. I don't know what it.
They were destroyed, but we resurrected them.
We saved them.
Speaking of saving people, the police. Moving on to our next game, Narc. I was trying to transition well, and it was not. But Narc. Fantastic game. The arcade version, I will say, is better.
Yeah. I love the arcade version because the dogs hump you. Dude.
Yes, but
yeah, I love that.
It's still a fun game.
Yeah, I mean, any game where it mimics dogs humping you, that's just amazing.
It's one of our
Anytime you're on the ground, they come up and just
hump.
Get that red rocket right in your lips. They just like drag it over your lips.
They
dude.
do it.
Yeah.
And you can always taste it afterwards.
Yeah, I do like Narc. You're right though. The arcade version's way better. Ninja Gaiden 1 through 3, gotta have them.
Iconic hard games.
Yeah, I 3 is one I never played growing up. I only played 1 and 2. 3 just recently got it at a Comic-Con on the DL. It was a pretty good price. It was still expensive, but I think it got it for like $80, something like $70. That's still steep.
But that's not bad.
But it wasn't too shabby.
Now moving on to, you know what you need to do in order to buy that game is get a paper route. Paperboy. This game is so much fun. The first time I actually played Paperboy though was on the Game Boy. I remember playing that so much on road trips until the sunset, and then I couldn't see anymore.
This is one game that I was really disappointed was not on the NES Classic, because at least where I grew up, I don't know one person that didn't own Paperboy on the NES.
Oh, really?
I'm not saying Paperboy's like the best game ever.
See, I don't.
But it's a classic.
I don't think of it as a classic NES game just because of the way I grew up.
Yeah,
you know? That's so.
It totally is a game that everybody had. At least I feel like. We're in the spot of Iowa that I grew up in. Everybody had Paperboy. I thought it deserved a spot on the NES Classic, and I was really upset with it.
And it's not on there.
Yeah.
Moving on to Power Blade. I'm so excited because we found this at a freaking garage sale.
Yeah, I wish it would have been Power Blade 2, of course, but it was still nice finding it.
And once we get Power Blade 2, we'll have both of them.
Yeah,
So
we will complete that set. You just watch.
Power Blade, it's a beautiful game.
Yep.
Now moving on to just a generic title, Pro Wrestling.
The best wrestling game on the NES. My opinion, but I really think it is. I loved the guy with the star pink suit. I just played with him all the time when I was a kid.
Were you pretending?
Played with him? You know what I mean?
Were you pretending he was Bret Hart?
Probably. I mean, I don't remember, but probably.
I could see
Seems
that.
like something I would do. I mean, in 10-Yard Fight, I pretended my kick returner was Desmond Howard, and yeah, you know how 10-Yard Fight is. But anyways, I think it's the best wrestling game. Punch Out. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. We don't have the other Punch Out.
I don't even want to get the other Punch Out.
No. I have no reason to have it.
Yeah, there's no reason to have it.
It's probably my favorite game of all time. That, like Metal Gear Solid 3,
Dude,
right in there.
You play it all the time. I'm still working on beating it for the first time. It's taking me a while.
It's a
hard
tough game. It is a tough
but
one.
it's fantastic. Now moving on to Rampage. This is another one of those games where I think the arcade version is better.
Oh, for sure, dude. It's kind of a hot mess on NES. But as a kid, I loved it, and it's still okay. And I got nostalgia for it.
Yeah, it's decent.
But it's just kind of like, what?
I mean,
Why?
moving on to the next game that is kind of garbage, but
Oh no, it's not.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
It's especially with 2-player.
It's one of my favorites.
And that's RBI Baseball.
I love it. Any baseball game where all your fielders move in the same direction, no matter who, because you're not controlling any one fielder, you control all of them. Oh, it's so fun, dude. And you have to admit, when you hit a home run in that game, there's no better feeling in the world.
True. You do feel like you're on top of the world.
Yeah.
You feel like Jerry Maguire, man, and you're just like, show me the money. That's how I feel.
RC Pro-Am. Whether you owned it or you didn't, you rented it, you were playing RC Pro-Am back in the day. It's just a must-own. It's just a fun NES game. They did a great job. It's a game by Rare, which this is when they were kind of getting their thing going. Ooh. And then things went crazy for them when they got to the Super Nintendo era.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Moving on to Road Blasters. I don't know much about this game.
This game is it's pretty fun. There was another game a lot like it or similar that I had rented a lot with this game, and I don't own, but I really want to get Bump and Jump. But Road Blasters was another game that I rented quite a bit. It's been a little while since I've played it, but I do like the game quite a bit. Is it a must-own NES game? Probably not. But I think the next one is. It's an Ultra game, and it's called Roller Games,
which is a beat-em-up, but you're on rollerblades.
Yeah.
So that's pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, this game is really cool. I just recently snagged it per, I think it was Megadan's recommendation, but this game is a ton of fun. And I love the box art. It's just a beautiful, beautiful freaking cover.
Now, are you in a hurry, or are you just Russian attack? What a fantastic game.
So I love the game. I'm with you. There's one thing that really notches on my badge in this game, and it's that you have to press the up button to jump.
Yes.
Why?
I forgot about that.
Why?
Dude, okay, now that you mention that, it's frustrating trying, like, when you're jumping into the game.
Yeah, it takes you 20 minutes to retrain your
there's
brain
a
to even
learning
play
curve.
it. Yeah.
It's very weird, but once you get past that, it's a sweet game.
Rygar. You guys probably played Rygar. That's a must-own. I think Rygar falls into the must-own category. Love that game. The next game we found out about is a really awesome shooter. Kind of got branching paths, a little bit of Metroidvania-esque style. We found out about this game from Nefarious West. Yes. Section Z. It's a Capcom shooter.
This game is so freaking sweet. I love Section Z.
Really tough. It does have a little bit of that annoying element, circling back towards the beginning of the episode. Like Friday the 13th, Castlevania 2. Like, if you don't know where to go, you're absolutely dicked. This game takes a long time unless you want to look up, like, kind of which paths to take. But it's still a beautiful shooter.
Now moving on to a recent pickup, Shatterhand.
Yes.
The cover.
Oh.
The cover looks so funny.
You couldn't have a worse cover for such a badass game.
Yes.
This guy looks like he just walked out of the boys' locker room after licking somebody's taint. And he's like... And he's got, like, claws coming out of his hand. It's like, dude, you don't have claws in your hand. You're not cool enough to have claws in your hand. Look at you.
And he's got a funny haircut.
Yeah, dude. Looks like he fucking rode his moped to the photo shoot.
Yeah.
Because his hair's like...
Without wearing a helmet.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, okay, but... The cover's terrible, but the game is really freaking sweet. Game. And let's move on to... I'm going to bulk these all together. Amazing game. So we got Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt Combo.
Yep.
Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt Track and Field Combo.
Check.
Then we have Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario Bros. 3.
Yeah.
What else do I have to say?
The Super Mario Brothers. You had to have them. Amazing games out of that. Super Mario Brothers 1, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3. What's your favorite?
Ooh. I for nostalgia reasons, I think I'm going to say 1.
Yeah?
But I really freaking enjoy Super Mario Bros. 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, something about 2, it's just so different.
you got the cork?
Oh, we did it! We popped the cork, baby, and that's what was in the wine bottle. Ah, yes.
What are they?
I don't know. Wow, 7-1.
Look at him. There, he's in the mosh pit.
They're sending him down to the freaking
Look how many
incinerator.
levels Peach and Toad beat.
Oh yeah, they're huge. They freaking slaughtered him.
Yeah,
Is
they
that
were-
tonight's dinner?
It is. They're gonna have it served up on a tray.
He's gonna come out with an apple in his mouth, or a tomato, because I was feeding him tomatoes.
Oh my lord. Wow, Mario 2? And now it's time to talk about the beer.
It was a dream. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yep.
And so weird. But 3 is such a perfect game.
Yeah.
That's tough. Those 3 games are 4 fingers up. Those 3 games
Yeah.
are amazing.
They're fantastic. It's a tough one. I'd probably go with 3, but you catch me on the right day, I could probably go any route there. Sky Shark.
Ooh, that's another sweet game.
Yeah, awesome shooter. It's fairly cheap as well. It's not the best shooter on the NES, but it's a lot of fun. I believe it's a Teo game. Pretty awesome. Tecmo Bowl. I mean,
it's a classic. I love that you can guess each other's plays if you're doing 2-player. Like, that's pretty fun.
Yep.
Every time I play it, I get my ass crushed, but it's still fun.
it is fun, and I think there's a ton of people that have nostalgia for playing Tecmo Bowl back in the day. It was the icon for NES football games. Tiger Heli. Pretty good. Helicopter shooter.
Yeah. Tiger Heli is a sweet game.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We have 1 through 3.
Yes.
I think they get progressively better. I think Manhattan Project is the best game. Arcade is, or 2, second best game. And the first one, I love them all.
They're all good. But I think I would agree.
Yeah.
Manhattan Project is amazing.
It feels like, okay, we're ready for a Super Nintendo game. Like they were pushing the console
I
to its
think
max.
it's because, they
Yeah.
were getting better at making games.
for sure. Absolutely. Tetris 1 and 2. Don't know why we need Tetris 2.
What's the point of Tetris 2?
I mean,
It's a fun game, but it's basically the same thing. I played it a lot on the Game Boy growing up, but Dr. Mario's better. Just gonna say that right now.
hot take. Wheel of Fortune. I got this from a friend that was moving recently. I don't even know if it's good, but he said it was. He was moving, getting rid of some of the stuff. I was like, okay.
Why do I just want to play it and just see how bad it is?
We need to. He said it's fun.
What if we just live streamed NES Wheel of Fortune?
He said it's fun. Zexies. I think that's how you say it.
Zexel? Yeah, I don't. Zexies?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I picked it up recently at a con because
Yes.
somebody was recommending it to me. It's a Hudson Soft game. It is really cool. Kind of a hodgepodge of different styles. Haven't put a ton of time into it though. Very novice at the game. But it's one that everybody was like, you need to get this game.
Now moving on to Yo Noid?
The little mascot from freaking Domino's Pizza. I know it was
Yes.
before you were alive.
Yes, but he has his own game.
Yeah.
This is back in the era where
Yeah.
they were giving games to anybody that applied.
The Noid.
And then Noid applied and got his own game.
Capcom did an okay job with this.
It's a fun,
Yeah.
decent game.
I'd say for NES era like platformers, it's probably like a 7 out of 10. It's fun, and if you got nostalgia for those commercials, like you kind of need to play it because it's fun. It's just a fun ass game.
Here's some news the Noid won't like. New Domino's Pan Pizza.
Licensed freaking games. I think this is one of my more favorite weird. Like I'd rather play this in like the 7-Up Spot game.
Yeah, I think I would agree with
Yeah.
that. And we did skip one because it's not on the shelf technically.
Oh.
WWF WrestleMania Challenge.
Yeah, this
which,
is-
Oh,
I mean, the only reason I loved this game as a kid is because the Ultimate Warrior's in it, and it's a hell of a lot better than the original WrestleMania. Like hell of a lot better.
but it's still bad.
But what I hate about the game is the positioning of the ring. So instead of being square, it's like in a diamond position.
It makes everything so much harder.
It's so unique. But if you can get around that, the music's okay. I also hate in the season mode that you have to play with a created guy. that you can't change anything about.
Yeah,
so he's just this normal guy that wears brown pants and or trunks rather. I wish you could
really
like pick one of the wrestlers and go through a season, but the music's okay in it. It's got a pretty badass roster, and any game back in the day that had the Ultimate Warrior in it,
You were buying.
I was gonna get.
As you, Hulk Hogan, travel to WrestleMania.
Now moving on
you
to
go.
the last two games in this category of games, and that's Zelda 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Both staples of
Yeah.
the NES.
The original Zelda is one of my favorite video games of all time. I grew up with this game.
pretty sweet.
I love it. Perfectly honest, The Adventures of Link, I've never loved it. I've also never pushed myself to get through and beat it. To me, I didn't grow up with the game. It's not as intuitive. It's not. I felt like Zelda, the original, was
Made
fair.
sense, yeah.
You could figure shit out. This game, wow, there's some really dumb shit in it that I don't love. And I probably need to push myself through it because I'm a Zelda fan, and I've pretty much beat every mainline console Zelda game, with the exception of that.
Wow.
I've never really loved it. It's something about it that it almost seems to me like a cheap third-party company made it, because it's just something about it I don't like. But anyways, that's just
Hot take.
my opinion. I know a lot of people love it, but I don't even think it's in the same stratosphere as the first game. Like, yeah, I'd freaking die on the hill for that one.
Die on the hill. Now let's move on to the next category of our collections, and that's complete in-box games. So we don't have that many.
No.
But we have a couple that are pretty freaking sweet. We've already talked about a couple of them. Let's start with Batman.
Yep.
Sunsoft. Complete in-box. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that we have that one.
So, yeah, and a lot of these, your point is we don't have a lot because we don't collect stuff CIB.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is either like we bought a lot of things and sold off a good chunk, but kept a couple that had like cool box art and whatever. You guys can maybe see up here behind me in every video, I've got a couple of them up there. Bart Simpson versus the Space Mutants. This is a game I did rent a ton as a kid. As a kid, I could never get past level 2.
Wow.
But I loved the game. Something about it, the spray painting of stuff with Bart, it was cool. But it was always so damn hard, I couldn't figure it out. And after I was about 7 or 8 years old, I don't think I ever rented it
You
again.
were over it. I will say that the cover for that game is one of my favorite covers, I think, of all time.
Yeah.
It's such a cool freaking cover.
It is,
man.
and that's why I kept it. It's just something about the nostalgia
Such
of it.
a
Yeah.
cool cover.
Super Mario Bros. 3, which we'll talk about the consoles we have later, but we got that in one of the consoles, even though it's not the version that should have came with the console. It's freaking mint.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's one of the best games ever made, so we decided to keep that one. Tecmo Super Bowl,
Which is also in the corner, complete.
which
Another
I got
one.
in the same lot that I got the Simpsons one in, and then I sold off some other stuff. And then Tiger Heli. That one, I can't remember exactly where I got that, but that's another one we have, CIB. Very limited, only like 5 games.
Yep. And now let's move on to our consoles and console variants. We actually have a decent amount of NES.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So you've got an NES at your place.
Yes.
We've got an NES in the garage. We've got a top loader in here.
The top loader is so cool.
We've got one that permanently stays in our channel road bag, which has 2 lights, mic stands, so we don't have to like move stuff from in here because we always take an NES with us. And then we've got 3 consoles that are CIB.
Yeah, so that's almost double
And
digits.
they all have the consoles in the boxes.
Which is so cool.
Yeah, we got the action set, 2 action sets. We got the one with the gray zapper.
Yep.
And the one with the orange
Orange
zapper.
zapper.
And then recently we picked up the challenge set, which is
is
where that
so
Super Mario Bros. 3 came
Yeah,
from.
and you can see that right there.
But it's not the original game because it doesn't say not for resale or whatever.
It's
on it.
We did an unboxing of that a year ago, I think, which was it's
Yeah.
just so cool. Like, oh my god, everything's
But
so
it's
minty.
pretty
like,
crazy. So there's 3 NESs. You have one at your place. There's 4. 5 with the top loader.
Yeah.
The one that's in the garage, that's 6. And then we have the traveling one. So I think we have 7 NES.
And then we also have 2 NES classics.
Yeah.
So we have 9 NES consoles
Yeah.
technically.
And we've got those classics like loaded.
Oh,
They're ready to rock.
They're
yeah.
packed.
So
That's
yeah.
our NES collection. It's crazy how big it is.
yeah.
And it's crazy, if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you'll notice that this part of the shelf just
Yep.
keeps expanding.
Yep.
I think when we first started the channel, we just had 1 shelf of NES games.
Yeah.
And now we have over 2.
It's growing. We also have a couple of accessories. We got the zappers. We got the old NES Advantage. I think we have we have the dog bone controller.
The dog bone controller
which
is so sweet.
goes with our top loader that we
So
got.
sweet. Let's talk about this beer.
Yeah.
This is the Black Butte Porter Raspberry Edition by Deschutes Brewery. What do you think?
I really enjoyed. I mean, this was a little bit of a longer episode.
Yeah,
We had
mine's
a
almost
huge
gone,
freaking
too.
NES collection, but I'm down to the backwash. I've always liked Black Butte Porter. I believe we covered it very early in the channel.
Yes, we did.
I've always thought it was a very good staple beer. Deschutes is a brewery that doesn't disappoint. I think if you liked Black Butte Porter, this doesn't like overtake what that is and like kill it with the raspberries. Just kind of like a nice little faint.
But
Raspberries,
the raspberry taste is really good.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of raspberries or fruit and a kind of dark beers, because it's not super heavy.
No.
It's got a good dark. This is such a good beer.
It's very roasty too. Like
Yeah.
the finish, you're gonna get kind of maybe that bitter coffee-ish taste.
The flavors like kind of go like this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you get a raspberry flavor and then like the porter flavor comes in at the end.
Yep.
Kind of like lingers. This beer is really good.
It is fantastic. We'll be picking up again. I believe we found it in 4-packs, and to my knowledge, Deschutes is pretty well distributed across the continental U.S. and
Yep.
maybe a couple foreign territories as well. So if you see the Black Butte Porter Raspberry Edition by Deschutes Brewery, you should probably check it
You
out.
should probably pick it out.
All right, guys. That's our NES collection. It was kind of long-winded. There's some games in there we probably need to get rid of, like Jeopardy 25th Anniversary.
But it's so fun.
But there's a lot of killer in there, too.
Yeah. And there will be more eventually, like Power Blade 2.
Yeah,
We'll
we're
get
looking
to
for
that
that. What collection do you guys want to see next? We'll probably do a couple more before the year end. We're not going to get crazy with doing these over and over and over again. But, we could go Super Nintendo. We could jump to modern and do like our PS4 collection.
We do have a decent sized PS4 collection.
Yeah.
So I think our NES collection's huge, our PS4 collection's huge, our Wii U collection's huge.
Yeah.
After that, it kind of gets smaller.
PS2 is pretty good. Did you say that already? Yeah.
PS2's pretty huge.
But yeah, like our Genesis, if you want to see the Genesis collection, we're pretty happy with it. But it's a little boy.
It'd be like a 6-minute.
Yeah,
video.
it's a very little boy. But if you guys like these, we can keep doing them. But we also have a bunch of other stuff planned too. But we figured, hey, let's get the NES video out of the way.
Yep. Feels good.
Yeah, it does. All right, we always appreciate you guys tuning in, subscribing to the channel. Thanks for taking a look at our NES collection with us. And we'll see you next time, right here on Gaming Off the Grid. Across the continental U.S. and
Yep.
maybe a couple foreign Tarantinos.
Raspberry Edition by Deschutes Brewing Company. By Deschutes Brewery. This is...
Something ain't right with it. You see it?
Yeah, I can see it on camera.
God, that's bad. I don't know why it's doing that. It doesn't seem like anything's there. It's still kind of wet. God, I fucking hate shit like this.
So many roadblocks. We just want to show you our collection.
A ton. Return of the Joker. Batman just fell off the shelf. He knows we're talking about him.
Where is she?
Where's Rachel?
Then moving on to Rampage, or
Yeah.
Rampage, however you say that. This is another
I
one of
think
those.
we should just go back. It's definitely Rampage.
Rampage.
No questions asked. Very limited. Only like 5 games.
Yep. Which is, if we don't collect